Did the Washington, D.C. shooter have ties to the CCP? Europe and Japan are developing a new fighter jet to challenge China, and the U.S. revokes visas for Chinese students. That and more on this week's China News Headlines. Welcome to China Uncensored. I'm Shelley Zhang, filling in for Chris Chappell, who's off fulfilling his lifelong dream of climbing Mount Everest. But I promised him that while he's gone, we'd keep Operation Honeypot going to fight YouTube's suppression of China Uncensored. So remember to watch to the end of this episode and leave a honeypot comment below to show YouTube we've got engagement. Do it for Chris. A massive chemical explosion at an industrial park in Weifang in eastern China has left 5 people dead, 6 people missing, and 19 people injured, according to Chinese authorities. A search for the missing people is ongoing at the blast site, which was still smoking a day later. The plant is owned by Shandong Youdao Chemical Company, a major producer of medical chemicals and pesticides. According to the Associated Press, last year the chemical plant was cited for safety risks at least twice. But in September, it was praised by the Weifang Emergency Management Bureau for relying on party members to effectively manage workplace risks. Although you can tell that they were neither effective nor managed because of the, explosion. Students at a school less than a mile away from the explosion described reddish smoke and a funny smell. They were given masks and told not to remove them. Orange smoke was still rising from the site a day later. Hopefully anyone exposed to the chemicals gets cool superpowers and isn't arrested for dressing up like heroes. Nobody knows exactly what caused the blast yet, but authorities are investigating both the cause and the potential health effects, which I'm sure they'll share with everyone in a timely and transparent manner. Guam's governor is visiting Taiwan. Guam is a U.S. territory with a large military base, which makes it a possible target for Chinese missiles if and or when China invades Taiwan. This is the governor's first trip to Taiwan since taking office 6 years ago. She'll meet with Taiwanese President William Lai and Foreign Minister Ling Jialong. Their discussions will focus on fisheries, tourism, and healthcare, and she'll also meet several other government officials. But I suspect more will be on the agenda. Did I mention that Guam hosts a lot of American military personnel? And once again, Ukraine is accusing China of supplying the Russian arms industry. The head of Ukraine's Foreign Intelligence Service told reporters on Monday that there is information that China supplies tooling machines, special chemical products, gunpowder, and components specifically to defense manufacturing industries. We have confirmed data on 20 Russian factories. Chemical products, you say? Russia might want to rethink that one. But the Chinese Communist Party slammed the report and said it has never supplied weapons to either Ukraine or Russia and strictly controls dual-use items. Because if there's one thing China is known for, it's careful control of its tech. Foreign Ministry spokeswoman Mao Ning told a press conference that the Ukrainian side knows this full well, and China firmly opposes groundless accusations and political manipulation. Groundless accusations? Look, given all the evidence we've seen throughout this war, these accusations likely have more grounds than a broken coffee machine. China's come under intense scrutiny for helping Moscow dodge Western sanctions and providing it with material and diplomatic support. And Ukraine has even captured Chinese mercenaries participating in the Russian invasion. It looks like all of China's efforts to be a neutral peace broker just keep on collapsing, just like one of their tofu buildings. And after the break, guess what China's doing in Latin America? Welcome back. China is strengthening its ties in Latin America with loans and quote-unquote cooperative deals. China surpassed the U.S. in 2020 to become South America's biggest trading partner, and now they're engaging in their typical pattern of debt trap diplomacy. Xi Jinping announced a $9.2 billion credit line for Latin America to support clean energy, infrastructure, digital connectivity, and artificial intelligence initiatives. Something tells me that the CCP is the wrong government to ask for help with clean energy and infrastructure. That'd be like asking Humpty Dumpty for advice on improving balance. That announcement came during the recent meeting of the China Community of Latin American and Caribbean States Forum, which could they possibly think of a longer name? Anyway, during that meeting, Xi also unveiled a 3-year plan that covers more than 100 joint projects in trade, education, health, and food security. In addition, in a move to ease travel, China will waive visa requirements for citizens of Brazil, Argentina, Chile, Peru, and Uruguay. Obviously, China is offering all of this purely out of the kindness of their hearts, with absolutely no ulterior motives. What's that, Shelley? Actually, China is doing it because the CCP desperately wants access to resources in those countries and to integrate the region into its Belt and Road Initiative. So China is loaning these Latin American countries money to use to pay Chinese companies to build their infrastructure, green energy, 5G networks, and AI. And then they'll be in debt to China. Wait, if I'm here, then who just gave me that information? You know what, I'm not gonna think about it too hard. Let's move past that existential dread and onto some regular dread. Speaking of China causing problems, it turns out that there may be secret Chinese links behind the anti-Israel groups that fostered hate in the Washington, D.C. Jewish museum shooter. The shooter, Elias Rodriguez, was affiliated with 2 major revolutionary groups, the Party for Socialism and Liberation and the Answer Coalition, which stands for Act Now to Stop War and End Racism. According to the Network Contagion Research Institute, or NCRI, the People's Forum, the International People's Assembly, and Answer Coalition serve as the conduit through which CCP-affiliated entities have effectively co-opted pro-Palestinian activism in the U.S., advancing a broader anti-American, anti-democratic, and anti-capitalist agenda. But I'm sure those activists wouldn't fall for anything like that. I mean, they seem like the type of people who do critical thinking and not just get their opinions from things they see on TikTok, right? The Party for Socialism and Liberation is also lumped in with those groups, which NCRI says are part of a network linked by close financial, interpersonal, and ideological ties to Neville Roy Singham and his wife Jodie Evans of Code Pink. We did a video on the so-called Singham Network, link below. But this shooting just goes to show how the CCP's propaganda warfare in the US and other Western countries can have tragic and deadly consequences. And that action is needed now more than ever to shut it down. And also maybe PSAs about thinking critically and getting off of TikTok. Then, now, and forever. Secretary of State Marco Rubio announced on Wednesday that the U.S. will begin revoking the visas of Chinese students, including those with connections to the Chinese Communist Party or studying in critical fields. This follows a long effort by Republican congressmen to restrict or ban Chinese nationals from studying in the U.S. due to national security risks, including espionage. We did a few episodes on that, link below. Rubio also announced that the U.S. will revise visa criteria to enhance scrutiny of all future visa applications from the People's Republic of China and Hong Kong, which I'm sure won't at all court any controversy. Everyone loves it when you have a complex issue and try solving it with a blunt, simple solution. But never fear, the solution to China's military could be here, because a Europe-Japan-developed fighter jet is apparently racing against China's own military progress. The jet is being jointly created by Japan, Italy, and the UK. You know, it's nice to see those 3 on the same side this time. Throw in Germany and you've got a whole Axis of Evil redemption arc. The fighter is being developed as part of GCAP, which stands for Global Combat Air Program. The GCAP fighter jet was first planned over 2 years ago, with the aim of surpassing the F-35 fighter jet by 2035 in stealth capabilities, sensor integration, and battlefield coordination. But it looks like in light of the India-Pakistan clashes recently, where Chinese weapons were up against French weapons, seriously, anytime there's bloodshed around the world, it's like playing 5 degrees of Kevin Bacon, but instead of Kevin Bacon, it's the CCP. Anyway, there's a race against time mentality to make sure the GCAP jet is superior to anything the CCP can field. In fact, Japan has approached India to join the GCAP project, aiming to share costs and boost defense ties. For now, it's uncertain if that will actually happen. We'll just have to wait and see. But if it does happen, it'd be like assembling the Avengers. Ones China will have a much harder time arresting. One more thing before I go. Every week, I write the free China Uncensored Substack newsletter. Since YouTube barely recommends our videos, we started the newsletter to let you know about all the episodes we publish each week. But it's so much more than that. You get a special behind-the-scenes look at the show, extra China news, and you can even read Chris's text messages. So you should definitely subscribe to the newsletter. The link is below. I'm Shelley Zhang, filling in for Chris Chappell. Thanks for watching.